Alright, so one thing that I could definitely get jiggy with and can binge watch, I could just get fucking lost up in, and if ever I had a straight week to just not do a goddamn thing but get high and enjoy a generation in which I wish I was born in, because I feel like, what we call sexual harassment today, like a slight little tap on the ass, was merely just a words of encouragement, like, hey girl, you did a good job, tap tap tap. Anyways, I'm talking about Mad Men. I really love that show, and I kind of wanted to go over a few classic quotes that I got from Mad Men. This one comes from Roger Sterling, where he goes, "Remember, Don, when God closes a door, he opens up a dress." Next one comes from Peggy Olson. "Well, one day you're there and then all of a sudden there's less of you, and you wonder where that part went. If it's living somewhere outside of you and you keep thinking maybe you'll get it back, and then you'll realize it's just gone." That's some shit to live by. Another one comes from Joan Holloway. "I'm not a solution to your problems. I'm another problem." And that bitch was something Kendrick. That bitch was bad. Goodness gracious. Now this one comes from the infamous Don Draper. "You're happy because you're successful. For now. But what is happiness? It's a moment before you need more happiness. I won't settle for 50% of anything. I want 100%. Fucking A." Someone came from Michael Ginsberg, the little rat-faced Jew who was tripping out at the end of the season. "I feel bad for you." And then Don replies, "I don't think about you at all." That's a fucking bar, nigga. This one comes from Trudy Campbell, and I love this bitch. I used to be so obsessed with her when she was on the show Community. She goes, "Dissatisfaction is a symptom of ambition. It's the coal that fuels the fire." And that's true. Like, honestly, and we'll look at the Hebrew people. And a lot of times, they might be seen as atheists for not believing in God, or, this, and that, and the third. But in the Old Testament, and I forget if it was Jacob who had a fight with God or wrestle with him, some kind of angel figure over a hill. He had to fight the beliefs and pretty much wrestle the notion of what it is supposed to do, constantly questioning, constantly seeking. And that dissatisfaction is what's supposed to, keep the fire lit. This next one comes from my nigga Don, where he goes, "Oh, you mean love? You mean the big lightning bolt to the heart where you can't eat and you can't work and you just run off and you get married and make babies? The reason you haven't felt it is because it doesn't exist. What you call love was invented by guys like me to sell nylons. You're born alone and you die alone. And this world just drops a bunch of rules on top of you to make you forget those facts. But I never forget. I'm living like there's no tomorrow because there isn't one." That's some harsh shit. Now, I don't know. I really can't get out of that. I mean, you can feel the love, but there's just so much of shit that's just commercially manufactured. It's kind of hard to tell. And that's kind of the same shit that happens with the Word of God. We have this thing, this beautiful inspiration that was inspired from the heavens, and it was just manipulated and bastardized by the shit that man has intentions of. Next one comes from my second favorite character, Roger Sterling, where he goes, "I should have known it was near the end. Every time an old man starts talking about Napoleon, they're gonna die." Next comes from Don Draper. "Now that I finally understand you, I'm less impressed with what you have to say." And it's so funny because that's a whole realm of thinking. Like, once you know your subject, all the shit that kind of spouts out to them, I mean, it should hopefully that's kind of, I think, why certain family we can tolerate either racisms or retardations, just because you're like, no, that person's fucked. Like, there's no, don't take them into effect or into offense. Back to Roger Sterling. "You don't know how to drink. Your whole generation, you drink for the wrong reasons. My generation, we drink because it's good, because it feels better than unbuttoning your collar, because we deserve it. We drink because it's what men do." Might have to pick up drinking, I don't know. It wasn't really a fan. Back to Roger. "Let me put this in account terms. Are you aware of the number of hand jobs I'm gonna have to give?" I remember that episode, actually, just thinking about just having to work the deals, man. So you're working deals. This one came from Joan when some shit had popped off, and I think that ran over someone's hand. I forget what it was, but he goes, "One minute you're on top of the world. Next minute, someone's secretary running you over with the lawnmower." It wasn't so great, but it was a funny episode. It was a real what the fuck. A real
What the fuck?
I can't get you with this shit.
WTF. So another one here is by Don Draper. Now I know you're all feeling the darkness here today, but there's no reason to give in. No matter what you've heard, this process will not take years. In my heart, I know we cannot be defeated because there is an answer that will open the door. There's a way around this system. This is the test of our patience and our commitment. One great idea can win someone over. Fucking A, can it? That's how most motherfuckers get laid. This next one comes from Burt Cooper, and I started tripping out when I saw this guy. I don't know what role he played, but he was randomly in that OJ miniseries with Cuba Gooding. But anyways, he says she was born in 1898 in a barn. She died on the 37th floor of a skyscraper. She's an astronaut. With his fucking voice with his handkerchief. This one comes back from Joan. There he goes. Peggy, this isn't China. There's no money in virginity. Say that to the fucking bitches that sell at the goddamn Little Bunny Ranch in Las Vegas. Next one comes from Roger Sterling. My father was the tallest, handsomest, vainest man in New York. And he got his nails done. He had his fourth coronary behind the wheel and hit a tree. The windshield severed his arm, and he was dead. So they never put it back on. In this casket, he had one hand. The nails were perfect. Next one, Pete Campbell. You remember this motherfucker? We were just going through some shit. I think he just got into cheating, and he had bought a fucking gun. And it's like same price as chip and dip. Dumb shit. You have to fucking watch the series. Seriously. Do yourself a favor. Watch the series. It's misogynistic, but it's a good show. Next one comes from Joan. She goes, sometimes when people get what they want, they realize how limited their goals really were. And that's some true shit. Like a lot of times, I think that's what happens to me, actually. Confessional moment. I have my list. Just how I have my top 10 list, I have my favorites. Just how I have my favorite stores. Like, even though I hate the brand of Best Buy, I have a list of my favorite Best Buys and my worst Best Buys. Just, you realize, though, once you achieve these things, just how limited that shit was. It hopes that, it gives you grander, more grandiose, dreams and aspirations, but you quickly realize that shit. I mean, as this quote says, this is America. Pick a job and become the person who does it. That was by Bobby Barrett, and I think he was fooling around with this shit, but still reigns true. So the last one I'll give you by Don Draper, Mr. Something Ham. Is it Mark Ham? I forget his name. Very beautiful motherfucker. Supposedly he's gonna play someone in the Marvel series. We'll see about that. But he goes, when a man walks into a room, he brings his whole life with him. He has a million reasons for being anywhere. I mean, just ask him. If you listen, he'll tell you how he got there, how he forgot where he was going, and that he woke up. If you listen, he'll tell you about the time he thought he was an angel or dreamt of being perfect. And then he'll smile with wisdom, content that he realized the world isn't perfect. We're flawed because we want so much more. We're ruined because we get these things that for what we had, and we wish for what we had. Some true shit. Like I said, it goes just beyond the realms of just materialism. Like I said, we don't realize it because there's a void. I mean, if you don't have a void, then God bless you. But usually there's just something that you feel like it's missing, and we try to fill it with just endless amounts of shit. Understanding that this whole realm of the whole business that's in Mad Men, which I thought was just a brilliant title, is about advertising men. Advertising just that they sell people craft, and they think of these magic words or key phrases or jingles that's going to get you to buy what they're selling. And again, you want to be the seller, not the buyer, or at least have a well balance in between. Because again, when you buy shit, you're going to just keep buying more shit because there's just an endless need for that. And I remember trying to quote this guy before, and I can't even fucking forgetting his name, Hossoff. Or just the motherfucker who gave Tony Montana a shot in Scarface. But when he quotes the dude, tell him never underestimate the other guy's greed, because you'll get lost in it or in its wrath. And to that I say,
no way, man.